You know, most speakers stumble into the business with passion, but not a strategy. And what if the biggest marketing edge a speaker could have isn't money or experience, but the smart use of AI? Imagine if you could learn how AI could help you market yourself as a speaker more effectively, even if sales and marketing aren't your strengths. Well, we've got a future of work, an AI expert with decades of digital marketing expertise in to help us to do just that. You ready? Let's go. Today's guest, Dan Södergren, is a TEDx speaker, BBC commentator, and media expert. He spent decades in digital marketing, AI, and technology, making complex ideas simple. And we're going to put that to the test today. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Well, thanks very much for having me. And yeah, I'm happy to be put to the test as is my job and is my desire over the last 20 years to do so. So yeah, happy to.
Yeah, actually, I think that's one of the secrets to a good book, a good presentation is we don't necessarily reinvent everything. We just develop a way of saying it in an easier manner so people can understand it. Because AI scares people. So, let's start there. A lot of people are afraid to adopt to it. But where do you see AI sitting in terms of, readiness and real world adoption in the speaking industry?
Well, the speaking industry is changing a lot, right? I mean, we say AI, don't we? And if you're geeky enough, you'll remember, of course. I mean, AI is just computer stuff, isn't it? And computers have been around for a very long time. I mean, heck, I was trying to program a ZX Spectrum, when I was like 12 or something. So that was a good almost 30 years ago, or maybe even more. Point being, this computer's been around for a while. I've had the joy of knowing some of the people behind the kind of AI scenes when it was, called machine learning and natural language processing and all sorts of weird and wonderful things it was called before. And we used to joke that AI was the thing you put on your presentation deck to get your funding. And in fact, most of these things actually aren't AI at all. Point being is the geeky world of computers is not new to anyone. Yeah. Neither is the idea of digital transformation and these things. But your point is a great one about touching on this whole thing around fear. But I'll come to that slightly in a second, if that's okay. Because what happens with the speaker industry, because this is what we're talking about today, the speaker industry particularly is, I think, quite interesting because it's actually quite old-fashioned. Yeah, it's actually quite an old-fashioned industry. It's one of the greatest things in the world, talking for a living and storytelling, etc. But we're not necessarily the most tech or techie of folk. Some people very much aren't. In fact, some people are kind of anti-tech and they're great believers in doing what they do, but don't necessarily like technology to help them market it and to do it. So I totally get. It's just weird for me because, of course, I'm in between the two. I'm in the situation, I've talked about marketing for a couple of decades. I've talked about AI for at least a decade. I've talked about the future of work and how this whole thing is changing. And my favorite talk now, of course, is the fifth industrial revolution, which is what my book's about and what one of the things you may have been alluding to there. And it's this different way of looking at this. And if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, as Wayne Dyer so brilliantly put so many years ago. And so what I try to do with my storytelling and my keynotes is make it so it's an understandable moment. And so this is why I talk about the fifth industrial revolution. And we've got to realize as speakers that we're affected by this fifth industrial revolution as much as everybody else is. Doesn't matter how much we believe that we're kind of apart from the rest of the world and the rest of industries, we are an industry. And so, yes, AI is massively going to affect the speaker industry, whether we like it or not. And I think lots of speakers, and I talk to lots of speakers, and I'm launching something called SalesReel, and there's a variety of other things that I've been doing using AI behind the scenes, as well as to market myself, but to also help other keynote speakers do so as well. A lot of keynote speakers and professional speakers aren't necessarily a fan of technology and certainly aren't necessarily a fan of AI.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it intimidates them. Most professional speakers are writers. They've written books. And so it's almost kind of moving in on our territory a little bit. These are our words. These are our messages. How dare you come in and simplify our messages? But
absolutely.
Yeah. And, it's funny. I adopt it in podcasting. No problem. But to your point, I do see it as sort of the stranger at the door knocking. It's like, but this is me. This is my authentic Rob. So I've been a little bit slow on the speaking side. In practical terms, how should speakers be using AI right now?
Well, I mean, I do talks about, AI, the future of work and technology. It would be a bit silly if I then didn't turn it to my own business, into my own industry, which is how I make money.
Hmm.
I make money through a variety of different ways. Obviously, my AI, I say my AI agents, my actual agents, the human agents, get me gigs around the country and then around the world as well, which is great. Then my own AI agents also help me with my marketing and getting me gigs too, which is the non-human approach. But also I do it as well, lead generation and all these other things you do. So when you look at marketing, and I've got to be careful here because marketing, I've been doing startup marketing, guerrilla marketing, and kind of very much cold-face marketing for a very long time. And I get told off for this one. And I always say that marketing is really just a service for sales. Yeah. And a lot of marketing people get very cross about that. But in reality, when you're a small business, marketing has to help sell the stuff, right? It's what it does, And I know that as speakers, we don't always look at ourselves as products, but in reality, we're a product. Yeah, we are a product. There's lots of other keynote speakers out there. There's loads of other people that can do this. Don't get me wrong. Every one of us is, we're all God's children. We're all unique snowflakes. I get it. I know. I understand it. And we all have something unique to say. But in reality, most people who are booking for an event, you are a product. And so your marketing has to help that product off the shelves. And I know that some people find that a little bit jarring, especially when we're talking about human beings. But don't get me wrong with this. This doesn't mean that you're not important. Far from it, you are. But we've got to remember that the person who's booking you needs to be able to do so in a relatively easy way and understand what they're going to get from you. And that's the bit actually where AI can really help. So AI marketing can help in a variety of different ways. As I say, I run something called the AI marketing course, which is for pretty much anyone with a small business who wants to use AI to help their marketing. But if you're thinking about it specifically as a speaker, you've really got to start thinking, okay, what are my opportunities that perhaps other products don't have? And one of the ones, the reason why I built SalesReel is we're on stage, right? We're on the stage in that wonderful moment in front of all these people, be it 20 people, be it 2,000 people. The numbers are not important, but the numbers are kind of immaterial. The point is you're on stage. Most speakers, and I myself included, by the way, I built this bit of technology and I really wish I'd built it 5 years ago. I've wasted so many stage moments where I've come off stage, I've met the event organizer, someone's come up to me, maybe 5 or 6 people have come up and they've swapped business cards and we've talked about stuff and everyone's very excited. We all go for a drink or whatever. Great bit of networking. You go home, you've done your gig. You don't think, oh, marketing. Heck. Now, I've also been lucky enough to have people like marketing interns and apprentices who have then followed me around, taken some photos and done some marketing for me. Again, that's normally taken maybe a couple of hours to do, maybe even a couple of days. I mean, I don't know about yourself, Rob, but in your last speaking gig, did you manage to turn around your marketing within minutes after leaving the stage?
Well, I would tell you yes, but my nose would grow about 3 inches if I tried. So no.
Exactly right. Impossible to do. Impossible to do. Also, when you're in that, because we're all speakers. When you left the stage, you're excited. You've done this moment of hi. This is the human. This is why emotional intelligence is so important in this kind of whole new world. And I won't talk about the 4 intelligences in the book, but it's worth thinking about. Artificial intelligence helps us, but emotional intelligence, realizing that when we're at that peak state and people are at that peak state, that's when you have to do your marketing. Yeah, but that's exactly when a keynote speaker isn't going to do their marketing.
Right.
It's almost impossible for them to do it, right? Because you're talking to people, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you've been there yourself. You're shattered afterwards. You leave. You most probably go into a dark room, or you've got
catching a flight.
Yeah, catch a flight, get the train back, right? And that's what you do. You sit there with your gin and tonic or whatever, or your cup of chamomile tea, whatever you need, and you go, my goodness, what a day, what a great thing, but my goodness. And then you must probably have a sleep. I usually do. Anyway, point being is you're not at most thinking about marketing moments. What SalesReel does, it allows people to scan a QR code at the end of your talk and then give you a testimonial as you finish your talk. So it scans a QR code, they give a testimonial, they give you a mark out of 5, which again is great because then you can find out what keynote, if you're getting geeky about it, which keynotes really landed, which ones didn't. You can start being a little bit, I don't know, self-aware or whatever, basically getting it better. How do I make a 4.7 into a 4.9 or whatever your numbers are, right? Which I just love, because you want that data feedback loop. I love that, because that's important to me. Because you don't know, do you? You don't always come off stage and go, oh, that was a good one. But you don't know it was a good one. You kind of presume it was great because you're great at keynote speaking. But wouldn't it be brilliant if you could actually find out, okay, there are 300 people in the room, 89 of them scan the QR code. So that must mean it must have resonated and they must have wanted what I was going to give. I normally give away a free book. They must have been like, great, free book. We love what he's talking about, the fifth industrial revolution. We'd love a digital download of his book. Great. They can then say, the mark out of 5. So any negative feedback I can get, and I can change my talk. They then give you a testimonial, a couple of sentences. And even after that, they can even say, do they want you to follow up with any of the training needs? Now, all those things are really helpful for me. And I've been using SalesReel and another thing called Speaker Pro behind the scenes, all built with AI, done with AI and with AI for 9 months or more. And it's basically, it's changed my whole life.
Is SalesReel a product that you built, Dan, or is that a product that you use?
No, it's a product that I built. Yeah. Okay. I don't just talk about doing AI stuff. I do AI stuff too.
Good. All right. Well, we're going to tease it a little bit, so make sure you hang around because we're going to figure out how to get that. You hit on a couple of things. First of all, I don't know if you know this. I'm a 40 years as a sales trainer. I can't tell you how many companies and clients come to me with their sales problems, and I go, sadly, you're not having a sales problem. You have a marketing problem.
Okay? A marketing problem. Right. Yeah.
My definition has always been that marketing is what brings somebody to the table. Sales is what happens when you pull out the chair. But our instinct as speakers is, oh, I can sell anybody. I'm sure you can. But if nobody's sitting at the table, okay, if you don't have people to sell, you don't really need to work on your sales skills right now. And I will tell you that one of my weaknesses, I'm sort of your subject matter expert on what you're describing. I'm weak at getting testimonials a little bit. It's not an instinct for me.
No, but you're not okay. You're not alone, Rob. Every speaker you speak to, right, unless they have somebody who does this. And the weird thing is we leave this up to our agents. Our agents don't care about getting testimonials from us, which is why every time you've gone to your agent and said, could you get a testimonial from the client? They say, oh, yes, of course. Yeah, I'll do that. And what, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 do, if you're lucky. The bigger clients, even the bigger clients are like really big clients, the global names which I've had the joy of working with, almost impossible to get a testimonial from them. 2 days later, you've got no chance, right? Now, if you do it live at the time, you get 89 testimonials. Yeah, 89, not 8 or 9, 89, right? 300 people, 350 people in my last, for a last keynote. I won't say the name of the company because it was a talk for them rather than a keynote. And instantly, because people love what I was talking about, which is great, fifth industrial revolution, but instead of 8 or 9 testimonials, 89 testimonials. Now, this is the bit where it gets clever. So then you think, okay, I've got all these testimonials and that's great. But then you've still got to do something with them. And again, because I built this a year ago. And so I have all these testimonials, all done on lovely graphics. And then I wouldn't know what to do with them. Because again, you don't as a speaker. You just go, oh, I've got all this stuff. So what Speaker Pro started to do, and now it's now called SalesReel. SalesReel then takes those testimonials, those graphics, so creates the graphics, gets testimonials, creates the graphics, then puts that into a video, and then makes a mini video for LinkedIn. So you go from LinkedIn, we go on stage to LinkedIn in seconds. It's literally testimonial, video created. It even creates the LinkedIn post for you. And so it does almost everything for you. So they've scanned the QR code, they've done all this stuff. You can leave the stage and literally be clicking 2 or 3 buttons and have a post on LinkedIn with a video of their testimonials if you want as well, because I built that this week. So I've got some feedback from beta testers who are using it. They wanted to add in their own kind of event photos. We kind of do our selfies and do these little moments that we do. We kind of always remember those selfies, don't we? But we don't tend to remember anything else. So I do them all the time. So that's what it now does. It builds all those things together. And that's where I think we can really utilize AI, is in doing those bits, which are the kind of, I'm not going to say the grunt work, but doing those bits of marketing that we most probably didn't want to do. We didn't like doing. Yeah. And then we didn't do, if we're completely honest.
Right.
Because we didn't do. And the thing is, we left it up to our agents, but our agents, and this is not picking on agents at all. I think the agent, to talk about the speaker world and the industry, it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen with agencies, but that's a different conversation. But the reality is that most agents want you to get more keynotes, right? but those keynotes aren't got by the people in the audience for the last keynote. They don't tend to be. And so we get into this kind of weird world where we're not really doing anything because we're not marketing. But what we could have been doing is marketing to the people in the audience and people on LinkedIn, helping our build our brands, but at the same time, also going for those other bits of money, like training and consultancy work, these little bits of money, which our agents don't care about because they don't want you to necessarily, you want to be doing a 10 grand keynote. But from a 10 grand keynote, you could most probably double that because of the amount of training and consultancy work you could do. And that's what I did last year. And to be honest with you, and it sounds awful, I must have left hundreds of thousands of pounds on the table because I never used anything to help me with my marketing. So along came AI. I built this, and now AI does my marketing with me.
Wow. It's really amazing. And I've worked with a couple of companies, cruise lines are a classic, where they statistically will show you that the best and biggest time to sell a cruise is while you're on a cruise. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because unless it's a bad cruise, then don't sell your cruise. Same with us. If you laid an egg, didn't give great keynote, maybe we'll put the AI in our pocket for this one. But we're going to nail that presentation, and we've got a crowd that's ready to go. And I'm running out the door to catch a flight. Shame on me. So, I'm hearing what you're saying. Believe me, I'm hearing what you're saying.
But isn't it fascinating? Because basically because even if you've given yourself an hour to network afterwards, right? Because normally I'm with you. I'm normally out the door and I'm going to the next thing because I've got to get back from my daughter and there's 100 other things I've got to be doing and I'm doing the next thing and the next thing. Totally fine. But actually, if I was a bit more emotionally intelligent, I'd be like, wait a minute, I've got to stick around for at least an hour to network with these folk, right? But then it might be the fact that actually, it doesn't make any difference because the next guy's on or the next woman's on. You've literally got 5 minutes of coffee and the next person's on. I sometimes do keynotes in the morning. I normally the after lunch guy because of my energy. That's what I normally do. I better get Dad in to do the after lunch, the food coma slump, and Dad will bring them all up. And then of course after that, I'm off. But what I should have been doing is sticking around and kind of pressing flesh and doing these other things, which I have been doing. I've been getting better at it. But actually, for me, it's much, much, much better. Instead of doing that, download my book, read my book, go onto my, become a member of my newsletter.
Let's start putting that out there. We'll hit it at the end in about 5 minutes, but read my book, which is called...
it's the Fifth Industrial Revolution. Well, I've written about 10 actually, but the one that I do my keynotes on is the Fifth Industrial Revolution.
All right.
The one actually, which is most probably better for everybody on this call, because we're all speakers, is most probably how do you use AI to market your business in a day? That's most probably the best book. The Fifth Industrial Revolution is just about AI and how it's changing the world. Then I did a book around AI and leadership. Again, but most of us on the call are, with 2 or 3 people in the business, if it's not just us, and even if it's up to 10 people, it's maybe not a leadership thing. So most of my books are really for very kind of large corporates, but I'll give you a link for those 2 that I think are relevant.
Okay. Can you say the book that you want us to get again, but a little slower for this American audience? Okay. A little slower. What's it called?
So there's the Fifth Industrial Revolution.
You got that one. Yeah.
Which is the easiest one to do. And then I would most probably give them the AI marketing book, which I'll click to in the link. Okay. My apologies, I do talk quickly.
Well, welcome to the club. That's all right. All right, I've only got a couple more questions with you because I know you've got a tight schedule. You recommend recording your keynotes and then feeding them into AI and then generating some materials from that. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah. That's a really good one. You remembered our chat before. It's a really good way of doing it. It's most probably kind of a bit of a secret, that one, but there you go. Okay, yeah. So with marketing, you can use AI to help create your content. Yeah, help answer your emails. Help, for example, I built something that helps with quotes. So you go from my website and it then asks you 4 or 5 questions, and then from that I can kind of say, look, I think it would cost you X amount to hire me to do that engagement. Yeah, and then the AI then takes over and it kind of schedules out these emails to people and the rest of it. That's kind of your kind of lead gen stroke, your lead nurturing side of marketing, which I think is really, really useful. The other thing you can do, of course, is use AI, because AI is just artificial intelligence. It's just a brain, right? You could use brain for the marketing side of it, but you could also use brain for your analysis, right? You could use brain for your marketing strategy. Have you got the right marketing strategy? Yeah. Have you got the right tech stack that you're using? Who knows? Right? There's so many different things you can do, and my advice is always use a variety of different AI large language models to kind of answer these questions rather than just relying on one. And please, never ever use a free kind of chat GPT. Never ever use free. Okay, if you're not buying a product online, you are the product. You are putting yourself in significant, I would even say danger, if you're using a free AI, especially if you're using it to analyze your work, because you're just getting data scraped all the time. That's all that's happening.
What do you mean by
That's all
that?
that's doing.
Just stand for a second. What do you mean? Data scrape?
Yeah.
What'd you call it?
Right. So if you're not buying something online, you are the product. Yeah.
Okay.
So OpenAI has to make billions of dollars, trillions almost, with how much thinks it's worth. The only way it can really do that is to sell through advertising, but also by scraping your data. So knowing more about you and therefore being able to kind of, I've got to be careful with words here because OpenAI could see me because they're like, we don't ever do this. Okay. The point is all that intellectual property that you're worried about, people taking, you're giving for free to an AI because you are, right, because you're using the AI, right? Right. So that, and by the way, I personally, I've got to again be careful with words here. I can see both sides of this. I can see how this is really useful. But the reason why I think you should pay for the AI is because A, the AI is better. Yeah. And also you're a bit more protected from them scraping you because you're paying for a product.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's for me, it's also the very basic principle of nature, which is if you're not buying something, you are the product, right? Like also, if you had a marketing intern, it'd be better that you paid them, right? An AI should be seen as like an automated intern. It's just like a marketing intern. It can be used for so many different things, but my goodness, pay them. Pay people. Also you tend to value something more if you pay for it, right? Also, we're talking about, like, we're literally talking about, can I use a supercomputer? Yes, no problem. It will cost you $30 a month to use a supercomputer. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, I understand if it's $3,000, but it's not. It's $30.
Right.
So I'm signed up to 3 or 4 different AIs because each one's better at something else, right?
Right.
One's really good at marketing strategy. Another one's really good at creating copy. Another one's really good at working with my emails. Another one's really good at Excel. Each one of these things is better at different stuff. This is how geeky you can get on it. But to answer your question, you could use AI, which is why I'm stammering with words, because you got me on this one, because it's a really good thing to do, but I didn't want to give it away for free. But never mind.
Give half of it away.
Well, no, I'll give the whole thing. But to be fair, it's easy to do. What you do, and I strongly recommend you use Claude. And if you don't know what Claude is, Claude's by Anthropic. Okay, it's another one of these large language models. Anthropic is amazing, and Claude is amazing. It's much better than ChatGPT. Just pay for Anthropic. That's the first tip. Pay for Claude. Then what you do, you take the transcript of your talk, and it's quite easy. I do it all the time. You can record it on an iPhone. You can record them on an iPhone, and it automatically copies the transcript. You don't even need to put it into a different AI machine to do this. Yeah. You then take the copy of this transcript. You then train your AI, and this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. But you train it up. You don't just go, "Oh, what do you think of this talk?" Yeah, you give it a decent prompt, and I do a whole course on prompt engineering. But you can also set up your AI, and loads of people don't do this or don't know you can, but you can customize your AI. So your AI, for example, in Claude, it's called projects, and you set up a project, and you say, imagine you are a keynote speaker analysis specialist, and you have hundreds of years experience. This is the prompt you then create a character and a role around it. You also give it examples of really good speeches. Now, as keynote speakers, we all know ones that are good, right? We've all watched ones on YouTube. We've all seen, put in, be careful with copyright, of course, we don't want to scrape other people, but, the very famous speeches you could put in. And what you're doing, you're just training your AI to then be able to say, okay, is this a good speech? Is this a good talk that I gave? Yep. And then the AI can do that. Now, that would normally cost thousands of pounds for you to get somebody else to analyze this for you.
Right.
Yeah. And it literally would cost thousands of pounds. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this gets rid of people who coach people on how to do amazing speeches. It does not. Okay. There is a human skill to be able to listen to another human and say, you were brilliant at this bit, and this bit, and this bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But Dan, you're making a great point, because I happen to be one of those guys that does that, but I don't do a whole lot of crafting the message for you. I teach you how to put sauce on that message. I teach you how to get people to listen. I teach you, how to bring in a video here. Let's do a small group there. But the words, I don't work a lot on the words. I expect that my client to know their words.
Yeah, but what if wasn't just the client? It was a client and one of their automated interns, which is then using Claude as the AI to then
Right.
help them. So it's not just the fact they have one writer; they have five writers, and
Right.
they actually have to have a team of writers and an editor. And by the way, here's another lovely little nugget for you. Don't use Claude as the editor. Use Gemini. So that's Google's version. Use Google as the editor. It's a much better editor than Claude is. Claude
Hmm.
finds it very hard to edit its own work, as it would do because it is Claude and therefore it cannot edit itself. And so you look at these AI models like they are different people.
Right.
So hands up, ChatGPT is awesome at creating new ideas. Ideation, ChatGPT is pretty much the best at it. I'm going to give them that.
Right.
Maybe not strictly true, but I'm not going to get too geeky about it. Let's just say it's good for ideas, right? So good at creativity and ideas. Claude is then brilliant at long form writing. I don't think anything on the market can beat that. And then Gemini is great at editing. So if you imagine not just doing it for your talk, imagine you could do that for a blog.
Right.
Yeah. And so you
Right.
could say, okay, I'm going to write this blog, but actually we're all going to sit down as a team and we're going to create this bit of content. But of course, as you know, Rob, because you're a clever man, you've already thought this. Man, I've already got this transcript. I've already got the transcript of my talk. Yeah. Therefore, recycle that. That can become 10 blogs
Right.
because it can.
Right.
Yeah. Now, you can use something like, and there's this thing called voice pen that exists, and you could literally take the recording of your talk, put it into voice pen, and for $18.99 a month, I think it is, it will create a blog for you. You keep clicking the blog button, it'll create a new one. But the weird thing now about AI is AI has got so good that you actually don't need a software as a service product to do the very thing that AI can do. So you don't need to go to Gamma to create your PowerPoint presentations anymore. You can use Gemini. I mean, have you seen how good Gemini Banana Nano is? Like, it is crazy good, right?
Right.
I mean, it's crazy good. I mean, I just doing a TEDx talk the next week, and I just got it to make most of my slides because
Wow.
it's so good.
Wow.
Now in
Yeah.
Google, that very same thing last week, yesterday instead of last week. Yesterday, depending when this comes out, of course, you can now edit the things that it creates. So it can create the PowerPoint slides using AI, but you can edit what the AI does inside the slide.
Wow.
Which, if you understand that principle, it is mind blowing. It's a gamma killer. You
Yeah,
can just
I'm
all the
going
things.
cross-eyed over here. That's amazing. I got like 2 minutes left with you, so I want to work smart. One, I want to throw a product at you and get your opinion on it. Chop AI. Are you familiar with it?
No, not must confess. There's over
It's
45,000 now.
it's you feed in the video and it will chop it up and give you different piece video shorts, things
Yeah, so
to.
it's like Opus Clip.
It's exactly like Opus Clip. As a
Yeah,
matter of
yeah,
fact, everywhere you see them, they'll put them side by side.
yeah.
I'm
Opus
a
Clip
little
Pro.
bit.
I use it.
I watched them both, and I got to tell you, I like Chop AI because according to their story, they worked with editors for about 6 months, just showing them what they were trying to capture. Because it moves around. It wouldn't take our full paragraph. It'll take the first two sentences, get rid of the third one. Rob was hemming and hawing on that one. Jump to the fourth one, take out a word here, and basically edit it down. So it's finding smart pieces and editing the pieces. It's a program I happen to like. I'm not pushing them. I
No,
don't get anything for them, but I
no,
wasn't
no,
sure if
no.
you'd heard of it.
No. I mean, Opus Clip is the one I use, but only because of the kind of stuff behind the scenes there is because it was based on social media stuff. So they then find out things that are more likely to go viral. And that's what I like about Opus Clip because it's based on
Right.
the proprietary data set. Now, and this is the whole point about all this stuff, right?
Right.
The proprietary data set that these things have is the only moat that they have. It's the only special source that they can have, right? Now,
Hmm.
if you build your own versions of these things, you don't have that proprietary data set. So you can't be as good. But this is when you got to think, by the way, this is the fifth industrial revolution. This is the point of the fifth industrial revolution. We now all have the means of production that we didn't have before.
Right.
Yeah. What this allows us to do is why it's so mind blowing because the whole world now changes because we can create our own AI versions of these things with our own proprietary data sets, right?
Right.
So we can start thinking, okay, can my AI start to learn to sound like me? Yes, it can, and it will. It will then be able to create. So in 3 months' time, we'll be able to create blogs. There's a thing I created called speakerblog.net. You can go to it. Yeah, set up a blog. You train the AI to do this stuff. It goes through a RAG system and some other stuff. It's all a bit geeky, but basically every day it then creates your blog. Every day it creates your blog.
Hmm.
Now people are like, yeah, but I like writing blogs, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's the same as you hiring a ghostwriter or a marketing team. It doesn't mean that you're not writing blogs. It just means every day this thing's putting out a blog. Now, consistency around keywords is good for your SEO. But if you build this thing correctly, which I did, it's also good for people finding you in search engines, and especially AI bots, because this whole thing is built so the AI bots can read it.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I get more leads now because I've been using Speaker Blog for 9 months. So
Right.
every day I get another blog. It doesn't stop me from blogging. I do bloggers and thought leader piece and all sorts of stuff. But the thing behind the scenes is all done with AI. Of course, I still write blogs. Of course I do. I still write books. But why not have both? Why not have a team working for you? This is my point with all these things. It's the same with anything. I created something called Speaker Profile. The whole point of Speaker Profile isn't to replace my agents. It's just to give me another place where people can find me and then be able to click on stuff. The whole point of the speaker quote thing that I built isn't to get rid of the sales process. Far from it. It's just to get rid of that first 3 or 4 emails where they're basically asking you the same questions all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Dan, I got to tell you, to me, it always comes down to this, because I get people say, I'll give them ideas and they go, well, is that going to bring me a ton of clients? And my point back to them is always, I'm never going to give you an idea that's going to make you less successful. I don't know whether you'll get 3 or 10 or whatever, but I'm not turning my back on an idea that's going to move me forward. And I'll give you one example. I've only, to my knowledge, heard it once where I had a client said that they got the recommendation through AI to call me. Okay. Once was plenty for me, and now
Yeah.
I'd like more, but that's to your point of, I can do a better job of that. But in this business, sometimes it's tough to get the phone ring, and we got to make those calls. So I'm never turning my back on something that can make me even this much more effective. And you've been nailing it. I want to be respectful of your time. Tell me how people can get a hold of you.
Best way to get a hold of me, dansödergren.com is really where my keynotes are, of course, because that's what I do as a job as a keynote person. Come and find me on LinkedIn if you're interested in any of the things that I build for speakers. The other site to go to is speaker.marketing. So it's speaker.marketing. And there, I think there's now 6 different products that I've built over the last year, which are really for speakers.
Right.
Most of those are kind of under wraps, but you can click on through a few things. And what I'll do, because it's you, I'll send a link through to, I'll do it for I'm going to do it for SalesReel. I'll do it for SalesReel, and I'll do a special discount for everybody who listens to this call, specially made with a special link, just only for people that are listening to Rob and his great work. So I'll do that as for you, as it's you, Rob.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And last thing, can you spell that name? Because I guarantee you, people are going to struggle with the name. Okay.
Yeah,
Spell that last name. Dan, I think everyone's going to get. Give me the last one.
Dan's fine. So it's Södergren. So that's Sodergren. That's Sodergren. I tell you a funny story. It used to be years ago, talking about SEO. If you typed in Dan the Marketing Man, you could find me, because that was my tagline for about 10 years and everyone did my marketing training. So that became a thing. But if you typed in Dan and Södergren, you'll find me instantly, in a variety of things, or even Dan TEDx Talk and BBC will find you. In fact, sorry, Dan Future of Work will most probably find me. But that's because, I've got lots of AI interns doing my work behind the scenes. So I know that I love you for all the work you're doing. If there's anything else that you think that is going to be a value that speakers want and need from AI, I think the last thing I'd say about the whole AI thing is it's so, I've got to be careful with words here because I'm a techie and I've been doing it for a long time. But it's not technically difficult to do these things, okay? I think a lot of speakers think that it's very geeky because it's AI. It's actually the opposite. If you can manage people, then you can manage AI. Yeah. If you're good with people, you're good with AI. If you're good with words, you're good with AI. And this is why AI is just such a big thing in marketing communication world, because we're naturally good with those things, and therefore those goodnesses come to us. There's no speaker, I don't think, in the world that couldn't do all this stuff for themselves behind the scenes. I built some products, of course, because I like building stuff, and maybe that makes life easier for you. But between me and you, give yourself a week and you could most probably build these as well. Give yourself a month and you could learn it. It's just whether you want to learn all the geeky stuff for a month, or whether that's something that doesn't interest you. For me, I've been kind of trying to code and program stuff for years. So when AI came around, and it meant that I could create all these products almost, in weeks rather than in years, I just loved it, which of course is why I get so excited about the 5th Industrial Revolution.
Well, I can tell. Dan and I had a conversation in early January, and I want to tell you, we were like shouting over each other. We immediately became brothers on that call. So I was really looking forward to it. What a terrific conversation. You exceeded my expectations, and they were high. And I love how you ended it too, Dan, because the AI that I've adapted, yeah, it took me a minute or two to figure out how to prompt it, how to ask the right questions, but it has saved me an immeasurable amount of time, and I'm just at the doorstep. You did a great job. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Well, we'll do it again as well as we can next time, everybody. Until then, stay safe.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please follow, rate, and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. For more resources and to connect with Rob, visit thepresentationwhisperer.com.